Hey, what's up guys? Derek here, co-founder of Vidmylife.com. We're here on top of beautiful Anthony's Nose in Cortland Manor, New York. Today I'm going to be discussing with you frame rates, resolution, field of view, and I'm going to show you when to properly use each of these to maximize the quality of your GoPro videos. Let's do this. Before we jump into resolutions, let me explain frame rates real quick. So on your GoPro Hero 4 Black, you're going to see something called FPS, or frames per second. Video is essentially a compilation of pictures taken one after another in rapid succession. FPS, or frames per second, is essentially how quickly the camera is taking that picture. The rule of thumb is here, the quicker the pictures are taken, the harder it is for light to get in. So you want to use high frame rates like 60 frames per second when there's more light outside, and lower frame rates, 30 frames per second, in low light. And especially for slow motion, you want to make sure you have high frame rate, so when you slow it down in post, it gives a nice, smooth, slow motion feel. Nailed it. Now that you're an expert in frames per second, let's dive into resolution. To simply put it, resolution describes the quality of the image. The higher the resolution, 1080 or 4K, the better the image quality. Let's take that a little bit further. Inside the camera, there's a processor, and the processor takes the pictures of whatever you're filming on a grid. So the number 1080 or 4K represents the amount of horizontal lines inside of that processor for that image. So if you're at 1080, you have 1080 horizontal lines putting that picture together. If you have 4K, you have 4,000 horizontal lines putting it together. The more horizontal lines inside of the processor, the better the image quality. Let's talk 4K. 4K is the highest resolution the GoPro Hero 4 Black films in. It's going to maximize the Hero 4's capabilities, providing beautiful shots and amazing detail on a very large scale. It also gives you up to 30 frames per second. So because the frames per second are not that high, it's better to use when you don't plan on filming slow motion or fast moving shots. I generally use 4K when I'm out here like at Anthony's Nose for scenic shots. Moving down the scale, let's talk 2.7K. This is hands down my favorite mode on the GoPro. It provides a very high quality shot with very smooth motion. It even offers 60 frames per second if you are looking for that nice slow motion, but still keeping the quality. I mainly stick to 2.7K regardless of what I'm filming, and 30 or 60 frames per second for kind of everyday shots. The camera we're using right now is shooting in 2.7K at 60 frames per second, and the one I'm using here is shooting at 2.7K and 30 frames per second. Next up is 1440. This mode essentially is the same as 1080, but with a different aspect ratio. It gives you more of a square than a rectangle. So what this does, it has more of a view up top and down low. So if you're ever gonna strap your GoPro on your chest, on your side mount like I have here, you wanna put it in 1440 because it's gonna allow you to see more of the sky and more of the ground. And if you're skiing, it's an excellent time to see the sky and your ski tips. Let's talk 1080. If you're unsure what mode to use, simply put the GoPro into 1080 at either 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. This is the most universal mode and is ideal for when you're following someone or you don't have it mounted to your body. Moving along, we have 960. 960 is similar to 1440, just a little bit lower quality. This resolution gives you a taller aspect ratio, ideal for body mounted or point of view shots. The huge advantage here over 1440 is that it gives you 120 frames per second for incredible slow motion shots. So if you're going to have an epic moment that you need to slow down, 960 is definitely going to be your go-to. Next up, we have 720. This resolution has slow motion written all over it. It gives you low quality video, but with the option to film up to 240 frames per second. That's twice as much as 960. When you have a lot of movement and you don't need to view up high or down low, this is definitely going to be your go-to. I mainly use this mode when filming quick videos for social media or when quality isn't really a concern of mine. Last but not least is WVGA. This resolution setting is the lowest quality on the GoPro Hero 4 Black, but again, it gives you the option of 240 frames per second for a super slow motion shot. It's great, just like 720, for like Instagram videos or other videos that you don't really require high quality shots for. Before we jump into field of view, I wanted to cover super view really quick. If you noticed on the GoPro Hero 4 Black, there's a few resolutions that have S next to it. That stands for super view. It's available in 4K, 2.7K, 1080, and 720. Super view essentially takes that 4.3 aspect ratio, dynamically stretches it to a 16.9 aspect ratio. What? When you film in a 4.3 aspect ratio, it gives you more of a view above and below, but it compensates by making your shot more narrow. This gives you those black bars on the side during playback. Super view keeps the tall 4.3 aspect ratio and stretches it out to a 16.9 aspect ratio, so you keep the wide view but get rid of those black bars. Last thing we're going to talk about today is field of view. The GoPro Hero 4 Black offers 3 different fields of view. You have wide, medium, and narrow. When going from a wide to a narrow view, basically you're zooming in. The only difference here from a digital zoom is that you don't lose the quality. I usually prefer to keep my cameras in a wide mode as it's more pleasing to the eye. I definitely recommend toying around with each of these views, but if you keep it in wide, you can always shrink it down to narrow in post. All right, guys, that wraps up our discussion today for the GoPro Hero 4 Black. Hopefully you found that super helpful. Don't forget to visit us online at www.vidmylife.com for more tutorials. Also, feel free to like our YouTube page. And if you want to follow us, you can subscribe right down low at our link provided. Peace out.